Theron hadn't slept in 11 days. The Alpha of Thornmere lay strapped to his own bed, iron chains wrapped around wrists that had already healed and torn open a dozen times. His chest rose and fell in ragged bursts, muscles coiled tight beneath sweat-soaked skin. Every few minutes, a growl would rip from his throat, low and savage, the sound of a wolf fighting something no one else could see. Outside the chamber, his beta paced like a caged animal. There has to be someone else. Brennar's voice was hoarse from exhaustion. Another healer, another pack. Anything. Maitha, the gray-haired woman who had delivered Theron into this world 32 years ago, shook her head slowly. I've sent for everyone within 4 territories. The curse burns anyone who touches him. 3 of my healers are still recovering from the last attempt. She paused, her lined face heavy with grief. His wolf is consuming him from the inside. If we cannot break this by tomorrow's dawn, he will either die or go feral, and if he goes feral... She didn't finish. She didn't need to. A feral alpha with Theron's strength would tear through Thornmere like wildfire. They would have no choice but to put him down. Brennar slammed his fist against the stone wall. Who did this to him? The battle was 3 weeks ago. He won. He killed their alpha. This shouldn't be happening. Curses don't always strike immediately. Maitha gathered her failed tinctures with trembling hands. Sometimes they wait, burrow deep, then bloom when you least expect them. Neither of them noticed the girl in the shadows. Aelith had been invisible her entire life, so she was used to it. As a hollow omega, born without a scent, she barely registered to other wolves. No sweetness to attract, no presence to acknowledge. She existed in the spaces between notices, a ghost in her own pack. She had come to deliver linens. That was all. But she had stopped at the doorway when she heard Maitha's words. Burns anyone who touches him. Aelith looked at her own hands. Pale, thin, unremarkable. She had never told anyone what she could do. How, when she touched someone in pain, she could pull it into herself like water into dry cloth. It hurt, sometimes terribly. But the pain always faded, and the person she touched would breathe easier. She had discovered it as a child, soothing her dying mother in those final hours, had kept it secret ever since, knowing that a gift like hers would make her useful in ways she didn't want to be used. But Theron wasn't just any alpha. He had stopped the Eastern invasion, protected the smaller packs when larger territories tried to absorb them. He was brutal when he needed to be and fair when he could afford it. He mattered. Before she could talk herself out of it, Aelith stepped forward. Let me try. Brennar and Maitha turned, confusion flickering across their faces, like they were trying to remember if she had been there all along. Who are you? Brennar demanded. No one important. Her pulse kicked up, but her voice stayed steady. But I might be able to help. Maitha frowned. Child, you don't understand. The curse will burn anyone who touches him, I heard. Aelith moved toward the door. It won't burn me. She didn't wait for permission. The chamber smelled of iron and fever. Aelith closed the door behind her, muffling Brennar's protests. Moonlight streamed through a single narrow window, casting silver bars across the floor. And there, in the center of the room, Theron fought his invisible war. He was larger than she remembered. She had seen him from a distance at pack gatherings, always surrounded by warriors and advisors, always untouchable. Now, stripped to the waist and bound in chains, he looked like a fallen god. Muscles carved from years of battle, scars mapping a history of violence across his torso. And his face, even twisted in agony, was devastatingly beautiful. But it was his eyes that stopped her breath. They were open, blazing amber, shot through with veins of black that pulsed like living shadows. He saw her. She knew it. And for a moment, she expected him to roar, to lunge, to break his chains and tear her apart. Instead, something flickered across his face. Confusion, maybe. Or curiosity. Aelith approached slowly, the way one might approach a wounded predator. "I'm not here to hurt you." A snarl built in his chest. "I know you can't control it." She kept her voice low, even. "I know something is burning inside you, and every touch makes it worse." She stopped at the edge of the bed. "But I'm different. Let me show you." She reached out. Brennar burst through the door. "Don't." Her fingers touched Theron's forearm. The curse hit her like a lightning strike, white-hot and vicious, trying to throw her back. She felt it searching for something to burn, something to latch onto. But Aelith had no scent, no presence, no anchor for the curse to grip. It passed through her like wind through an open window. And then she felt him. Not just the curse, but the man beneath it. Exhaustion so profound it made her bones ache. Rage that wasn't his, pumped into his blood by whatever dark magic had been worked on him. And beneath it all, buried so deep she almost missed it, fear. He was afraid of becoming a monster. Aelith didn't pull away. Instead, she sat on the edge of the bed and wrapped both hands around his arm. The curse battered against her, furious and confused. But it couldn't find purchase. Slowly, carefully, she began to draw. Not the curse itself. She wasn't strong enough for that. But the pain, the jagged edges of it, the exhaustion that had kept him from sleep for 11 days. She pulled it into herself, and it hurt. It hurt so much. But she had learned long ago to breathe through suffering. Theron's growl faded to a rumble, then to silence. His eyes, still black-veined but clearer now, found hers. "Who are you?" His voice was raw, like he'd been screaming for days. He probably had. "No one important," she whispered. "Liar." But there was no heat in it. Just exhaustion. Just relief. His eyes closed. For the first time in 11 days, Theron slept. Aelith stayed exactly where she was, his arm warm beneath her hands, the curse circling like a frustrated predator that couldn't find its prey. She didn't move all night. And in the doorway, Brennar and Maitha watched in stunned silence, wondering how a ghost of a girl had done what no healer in 4 territories could accomplish. Dawn crept through the window like a hesitant visitor. Aelith's entire body ached. She had absorbed hours of Theron's pain, and it sat heavy in her chest, a weight she would carry for days. But when she looked at him, still sleeping, his breathing even and deep, she knew it was worth it. The door opened softly. Brennar entered first, followed by Maitha and a younger man Aelith didn't recognize. He had Theron's jaw but softer features, and his eyes held a sharpness that suggested he noticed more than he revealed. "He's sleeping." The younger man's voice was quiet with disbelief. "He's actually sleeping." "Since just after midnight," Maitha confirmed, checking Theron's pulse with careful fingers. "The curse is still present, but suppressed. His body is finally healing." She looked at Aelith with something close to wonder. "How did you do this?" Before Aelith could answer, Theron stirred. His eyes opened, amber and clear. The black veins faded to faint shadows. He looked around the room, disoriented. Then his gaze landed on Aelith, still sitting beside him, her hand still resting on his arm. "You stayed." His voice was stronger now, though still rough. "You needed me to." Something passed between them. A recognition neither could name. Then Theron looked at the others. "Brennar. Report." "You've been down for 11 days, Alpha." The pack held, but barely. "And there are questions about how this happened." Brennar's jaw tightened. "Curses like this don't come from nowhere. Someone placed it deliberately." Theron absorbed this, his expression hardening. Then he looked back at Aelith. "The curse isn't gone. I can still feel it. Waiting." "I know." She hesitated. I can only manage the symptoms. The pain, the sleeplessness. But breaking it completely? She shook her head. I'm not strong enough. Not yet. But you could keep it contained? Keep me functional while we find whoever did this? Maybe. If I stayed close. The words felt dangerous. The curse responds to my presence. When I'm near, it quiets. The younger man stepped forward. Theron, you can't seriously be considering. Emmerich. Theron's tone brooked no argument. His brother fell silent. Theron turned back to Aelith. What do you want? Name your price. Something caught in Aelith's chest. No one had ever asked what she wanted. She had been invisible so long, she'd forgotten wanting was an option. Freedom, she said quietly. I want out of Greymore Pack. I want protection. And I want to never be owned by anyone again. Theron studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. 7 nights. Stay with me for 7 nights. Help me survive long enough to find who did this. And when it's done, I'll grant you sanctuary in Thornmere. Full pack rights. No one will touch you. He extended his hand. Aelith looked at it. Scarred. Powerful. Offering something she had never dared hope for. She took it. And somewhere in her chest, a thread she couldn't see pulled tight. Thornmere was nothing like Greymore. Aelith had expected cold stone and colder stairs. Instead, she found warmth woven into every corner. The pack house sprawled across a mountainside, built from dark timber and river stone, with fires burning in every hearth and the smell of bread baking somewhere below. Children chased each other through corridors. Warriors nodded to servants without sneering. Laughter echoed from distant rooms. It felt like a home, a concept so foreign to Aelith that she didn't quite know how to hold it. Brenar led her to a chamber on the 3rd floor, close to Theron's quarters. You'll stay here. The Alpha wants you nearby in case. He trailed off, discomfort flickering across his stern features. In case he loses control again. Aelith finished quietly. Brenar nodded once. We've assigned a guard outside your door. For your protection. Or to keep me from running, she thought, but didn't say it. She was used to being watched. At least here, the cage was gilded. After Brenar left, Aelith explored the room. A bed larger than any she'd ever slept in. Furs piled thick against the mountain cold. A copper tub already filled with steaming water, herbs floating on the surface. And on the dresser, fresh clothes in soft fabrics, nothing like the threadbare rags Greymore had given her. She touched the fabric with trembling fingers. Don't get used to this. 7 nights. That's all. But when she sank into the bath, letting the heat unknot muscles she hadn't realized were clenched, something in her chest loosened too. Just a fraction. Just enough to breathe. That evening, a knock interrupted her rest. Emmerich stood in the doorway, holding a tray of food. He looked uncomfortable, like kindness was a language he was still learning. Theron thought you might be hungry. He set the tray on a small table. He also wanted me to apologize for earlier, in the sick room. I was skeptical. You were protecting your brother. Aelith pulled her borrowed robe tighter. I would have been skeptical too. Emmerich studied her with those sharp, assessing eyes. You're from Greymore. I know that pack. Their alpha is... He paused, searching for a diplomatic word. A monster, Aelith said flatly. You can say it. Varric doesn't believe in wasting resources on wolves who can't fight or breed. Hollow Omegas are considered defective. We're given the worst jobs, the smallest rations. Some of us disappear, and no one asks where. Emmerich's expression darkened. And yet, you stayed. I had nowhere else to go. She held his gaze. Until now. Something shifted in his features. Respect, maybe. Or recognition of a survivor. My brother keeps his promises, Emmerich said quietly. Whatever you've been told about alphas, Theron is different. He won't use you up and throw you away. I'll believe that when I see it. Emmerich almost smiled. Fair enough. He moved toward the door, then paused. He's asking for you, by the way. The curse is stirring again. He can feel it building. Aelith's chest tightened. She had known this was coming. Known that one night wouldn't be enough. I'll be there soon. After Emmerich left, she ate quickly, barely tasting the food. Then she steeled herself and walked toward the Alpha's chambers. The thread in her chest pulled tighter with every step. Theron was standing when she entered. That alone told her how much better he was. Last night he'd been chained to the bed, more beast than man. Now he stood by the window, dressed in loose linen, staring out at the moonlit mountains like they held answers he couldn't find. He turned when he heard her. And for a moment, neither of them spoke. In the pale light, Aelith could see him clearly for the first time. Not the suffering creature from last night, but the man beneath. Strong jaw shadowed with stubble, dark hair falling across a furrowed brow, and those eyes, amber and ancient, carrying burdens she could only guess at. He was beautiful. Devastatingly so. Stop it, she told herself. You're here to do a job. Nothing more. It's starting again, Theron said, his voice tight. I can feel it crawling under my skin, like something with claws trying to get out. Aelith approached slowly. May I? He nodded. She placed her hand on his chest, directly over his heart. The curse hissed at her touch, recoiling but unable to strike. Beneath it, she felt his heartbeat, strong but unsteady. And deeper still, she felt the wrongness. This isn't just a curse, she murmured, closing her eyes to focus. There's something else. Something planted inside you. Theron went rigid. What do you mean? Aelith pressed deeper, following the dark threads that wound through his spirit. The curse was the surface layer, meant to cause pain and madness. But beneath it, there's a seed, she whispered, buried in the core of your wolf. It's feeding on your rage, growing stronger every day. The curse isn't meant to kill you, Theron. It's meant to prepare you. Prepare me for what? She opened her eyes, and the horror of what she'd felt must have shown on her face. Possession. Someone wants to hollow you out from the inside. Wear your body like a mask. Claim your power as their own. The silence that followed was absolute. Theron's hands clenched at his sides. Who would have the power to do this? The magic required. Someone close to you. Aelith hated saying it, but he needed to know. The seed was planted during the battle 3 weeks ago, but it needed a conduit. Something personal. A weapon you trusted. Food prepared by familiar hands, or... She hesitated. Or what? A touch. From someone you wouldn't suspect. Before we continue, please take 2 seconds to like this video. Theron's jaw tightened. You're saying someone in my inner circle is trying to destroy me. I'm saying someone already started. He turned away, running both hands through his hair. She could feel the rage building in him, the curse feeding on it, growing stronger. The seed pulsed with dark satisfaction. Theron! She stepped closer, placed her hand on his back. You need to stay calm. Anger feeds it. That's what it wants. How am I supposed to stay calm? His voice cracked. Someone I trust is killing me from the inside, and I don't even know who. We'll find out. She didn't know why she said we. This wasn't her fight. 7 nights and she was free. But the words came anyway. I can feel the seed's signature. Every time I touch you, I learn more about it. About who made it? Give me time. He turned back to her, and the vulnerability in his expression made her breath catch. Why are you helping me? Really? You could have walked away. Let me die. Gone back to being invisible. Aelith considered the question. She had asked herself the same thing a dozen times since last night. Because you matter, she said finally. Your pack needs you. The territories you protect need you. And because... She faltered, unsure how to explain something she barely understood herself. Because? Because when I touched you last night, I felt what's underneath all that power. You're not a monster, Theron. You're a man who's terrified of becoming one, and I know what that fear feels like. A change flickered in his gaze. The tension in his shoulders eased, just slightly. You see too much, he murmured. It's my curse. No. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. The touch was gentle, careful, like she was something precious. It's your gift. Warmth spread through Aelith's chest. Don't, she warned herself. Don't feel this. It will only hurt when it ends. But when Theron's hand lingered against her cheek, warm and solid and real, she couldn't help leaning into it. Just for a moment. Just to remember what it felt like to be touched without pain. The next 3 nights fell into a rhythm. Each night, Aelith sat with Theron as the curse peaked, drawing his pain into herself until he could sleep. Each morning she woke exhausted but alive, the suffering fading slowly from her bones. And each day, she probed deeper into the dark seed planted in his soul, learning its texture, its taste, its maker's signature. She was getting closer. She could feel it. But something else was happening too. Something she hadn't anticipated. The thread between them was growing stronger. It had started as a whisper, barely noticeable. Now it hummed constantly, a low vibration in her chest that intensified whenever Theron was near. She felt his moods before he spoke, sensed his presence before he entered a room. And sometimes, in unguarded moments, she caught flashes of his thoughts, fragments of memory that weren't her own. A boy kneeling beside a grave, vowing to protect what remained of his family. A young alpha covered in blood, taking a throne he never wanted. A man staring at his own hands, wondering when they became instruments of death. She didn't mention it. Neither did he. But she caught him watching her with an intensity that made her skin prickle, like he was feeling the same impossible thing. By the 4th night, he finally spoke. You feel it, don't you? They were in his chambers again, the fire crackling low. The connection. It's not just from the healing. Aelith's hand stilled on his arm. I don't know what you mean. Liar. But the word was soft, almost affectionate. You're a terrible liar, Aelith. She pulled back, putting distance between them. It doesn't matter what I feel. In 3 more nights, I'll be gone. You'll grant me sanctuary and find yourself a proper mate. Someone with a scent. Someone who belongs. Someone who isn't you. His voice was flat. Exactly. Theron rose from the bed, crossing to where she stood by the window. He moved slowly, giving her time to retreat. She didn't. Do you know what this is? He gestured between them. This thread. This pull. I've heard stories, but I never believed them. Aelith's throat tightened. It's nothing. A side effect of the healing. It will fade. Will it? He stepped closer, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his skin. Because it feels like the opposite of me. Every day it gets stronger. Every night you stay longer. And every time you leave, I count the minutes until you come back. Theron, I'm not asking you to feel the same. His voice dropped to something raw. I know you don't trust this. Don't trust me. You've been invisible your whole life, and now suddenly you're being seen, and it's terrifying. I understand. He cupped her face in both hands, tilting it up to meet his gaze. But I need you to know that what's happening between us isn't a trick. It isn't the curse. It isn't obligation. His thumb traced her cheekbone, feather light. It's a mate bond. Real and rare and completely your choice. Her pulse raced against her throat. You can't want me, I'm nothing. A hollow omega from a broken pack. I have no status, no family, no... You're everything. The words hit her like a physical force. You walked into a room with a dying, cursed alpha and didn't flinch. You've spent 3 nights pulling poison from my soul while expecting nothing in return. You see me, Aelith? Not the title, not the power. Me. His forehead pressed against hers. How could I not want you? She was trembling. She hadn't realized it until now. I don't know how to do this, she whispered. I don't know how to be wanted. Then let me show you. His breath was warm against her lips. Not tonight. Not until you're ready. But let me show you what it means to be chosen. Not used. Not owned. Chosen. Aelith closed her eyes, overwhelmed. 3 more nights, she told herself. You can survive 3 more nights. But even as she thought it, she knew the truth. She wasn't sure she could survive leaving. The 5th night was different. Aelith arrived at Theron's chambers to find him pacing, energy crackling off him like heat lightning. The curse was quieter now, beaten back by her nightly ministrations. But something else burned in its place. I found something. He turned to her, eyes blazing. The seed signature. You said it felt familiar, like someone close. So I had Emmerich investigate everyone who touched me in the days before the battle. Her breath stilled. And? My war advisor, Corvan. He served my family for 20 years, was like an uncle to me. Theron's voice hardened to steel. 3 days before we marched, he gave me a dagger, said it belonged to my father, a blessing for victory. The conduit, Aelith breathed. The blade was enchanted. I've had it examined by every mage in the territory. Dark magic, woven so deep it's nearly invisible. He stopped pacing, his hands clenching. Corvin did this, and I can't figure out why. Aelith moved toward him instinctively. We'll find out. There is no we. The words came out harsh. This is my fight. My betrayal. You've done enough. Theron. You could have died. He spun to face her, and she saw it then. Beneath the anger. Beneath the alpha command. Fear. Raw and unguarded. Every night you pull that poison into yourself, you risk everything. And for what? A man you barely know? A deal that was never fair to begin with? It was my choice. A choice you made when you had nothing to lose. He stepped closer, towering over her, but somehow making himself small. Now there's this bond. This thing between us that terrifies me, because if something happens to you, nothing will happen to me. You don't know that. His voice cracked. I have lost everyone I've ever loved. My parents. Nearly my sister. I cannot lose you too. The confession hung between them, raw and bleeding. Aelith reached up, cupping his face the way he had cupped hers. Then stop pushing me away. I'm trying to protect you. I don't need protection. She rose on her toes, bringing her face close to his. I need you to trust me. The way I'm learning to trust you. Theron's breath shuddered out of him. Aelith. She kissed him. It was soft at first, tentative. A question more than a statement. But then his arms came around her, pulling her against him, and the kiss deepened into something that stole her breath and set her blood on fire. When they finally broke apart, both gasping, Theron pressed his forehead to hers. Ask me to stay, she whispered, after this is over, after Corvin is dealt with. Ask me. And you'll say yes? Ask me and find out. His smile was small, but real. I can work with that. The 6th morning brought blood. Aelith woke to screaming. She threw on clothes and ran toward the commotion, the thread in her chest pulling tight with Theron's alarm. She found him in the courtyard, kneeling beside a body. Maitha. The old healer lay crumpled on the stones, her gray hair matted with red, Her eyes stared at nothing, and carved into her forehead was a single word. Soon. She was coming to check on you. Brennar's voice was hollow. Found her like this an hour ago. No one saw anything. Theron's hands trembled as he closed Maitha's eyes. Corvin. This is a message. It's more than that. Emmerich emerged from the shadows, his face grim. I've been tracking Corvin's movements. He left the territory 2 days ago, supposedly to visit family, but his family says he never arrived. He's in hiding, Theron growled, planning his next move. Not hiding. Emmerich held up a piece of parchment. I intercepted a messenger this morning. Corvin isn't working alone. He's allied with Varric of Greymoor. Aelith's blood turned to ice. Varric. Her former alpha. The monster who had made her life a waking nightmare. Theron's gaze snapped to her. You know him. He owned me. The words came out flat. Hollow Omegas and Greymoor aren't pack members. We're property. Varric has been looking for a way to expand his territory for years. If he's allied with Corvan, then this was never just about killing me. Theron rose, his expression lethal. It's about taking everything I have. Emmerich nodded. The curse weakens you. Corvan positions himself as the grieving advisor who tried to save you. Varric sweeps in during the chaos, claims the territory through force, and the possession seed. Gives Varric a puppet alpha. Aelith finished, horror rising in her throat. He could wear Theron's body, command Theron's wolves, and no one would know the difference. Silence fell, heavy and suffocating. Then Brennar spoke. There's more. The message mentioned a target. Someone Corvin considers a threat to the plan. He looked at Aelith. Me, she said quietly. I'm the only one who can see the seed. Remove the curse. They know I'm a problem. Theron moved in front of her instantly. They won't touch you. They already have. Emmerich's voice was soft. The message included orders. Corvin is returning tonight with Varric's warriors. Their primary objective is capturing Aelith. Secondary objective is finishing what the curse started. Aelith's mind raced. She thought of Maitha, gentle Maitha, carved up as a warning. Thought of what Varric would do to her if he got his hands on her again. Thought of the seed in Theron's soul, waiting to bloom. We can't wait for them to come here, she said. Theron turned to her. What are you suggesting? We go to them first, tonight, before they're ready. Corvin thinks he has time to plan. He doesn't know we have his message. She met Theron's gaze. We catch them off guard. End this before it starts. Absolutely not. You're staying here where it's safe. Nowhere is safe anymore. She gestured to Maitha's body. They killed her in your own courtyard, your own home. If I hide, they'll just keep coming. But if I'm there, if I can get close to Corvin, I can trace the seed back to its source, destroy it completely. Theron's jaw worked. You want to use yourself as bait. I want to fight for something that matters. She took his hands. For the first time in my life, I have something worth fighting for. Don't take that away from me. The war on his face was visible. Duty against desire. Protection against partnership. Finally, he exhaled. You stay behind me, always, and at the first sign of real danger. I'll be careful. You'll run. She squeezed his hands. I'll be careful. It was an agreement. They both knew it. But it was enough. They rode at dusk. 20 warriors, hand-picked by Brennar. Theron at the front, Aelith close behind, the thread between them humming with tension. Emmerich flanked her other side, his sharp eyes scanning the darkening forest. Corvin's camp is an hour north, Brennar reported. Scout says they have maybe 30 wolves. More than us, but not by much. Quality over quantity, Theron said. Our warriors are trained. Varric's are brutal, but undisciplined. Aelith tried to steady her breathing. She had never been in a fight. Never even raised her voice in defiance until that night in Theron's sick room. Now she was riding toward battle with nothing but her strange gift and a desperate hope. Theron's hand found hers across the space between their horses. Stay with Emmerich during the confrontation. He'll protect you. I don't need... Please. The word was soft, vulnerable. Let me focus on Corvan without worrying about you. She nodded, throat tight. The camp emerged from the trees like a wound in the forest. Rough tents, smoldering fires, and wolves lounging with the confidence of predators who didn't expect to become prey. Theron raised his hand. The company halted. We go in fast and hard, he said quietly. Brennar, take half the warriors around the eastern flank. I'll draw Corvin out. The moment you see an opening, strike. And if Varric is there? Emmerich asked. Theron's eyes gleamed in the darkness. Then I'll finally get to show him what happens when you threaten my pack. They moved. Aelith watched Theron stride into the camp like he owned it, his voice booming across the clearing. Corvin, you wanted me dead? Come finish the job yourself. Chaos erupted. Wolves scrambling for weapons. Shouts of alarm. And then Corvin emerged from the largest tent, his weathered face twisted with surprise. Theron, you shouldn't be standing. Disappointed? Confused. Corvin's gaze swept the tree line, calculating. How did you break the curse? Theron smiled, cold and lethal. I had help. Corvin's eyes found Aelith in the shadows. Recognition flashed, followed by something darker. The Hollow Omega. He laughed, a bitter sound. Varric said you were dangerous. I didn't believe him. Your mistake, Aelith said quietly. Corvin's smile vanished. Kill them all. Bring me the girl alive. The battle began. The clash was brutal. Steel met steel. Wolves shifted mid-stride, tearing into each other with fang and claw. Aelith pressed against a tree, watching the violence unfold, her chest tight with fear. Emmerich fought beside her, his blade a blur of silver. For someone dismissed as the weaker brother, he moved with deadly precision. Every strike calculated, every defense perfectly timed. Stay close, he shouted over the din. But Aelith wasn't watching the battle anymore. She was watching Theron. He fought like a force of nature, carving through Varric's warriors with terrifying efficiency. But she could feel the curse stirring with each life he took, feeding on the violence, the seed pulsing with dark hunger. They were running out of time. I have to get to Corvan, she told Emmerich. Are you insane? Theron said, Theron doesn't know what I know. She grabbed Emmerich's arm. The seed is waking up. Every moment he fights, it grows stronger. If I don't destroy the source, we'll win this battle and lose him anyway. Emmerich hesitated, then cursed under his breath. Fine, but we go together. They moved through the chaos, ducking and weaving between combatants. Corvin stood near the back of the camp, watching the battle with cold calculation. He wasn't fighting. He was waiting. For the seed to bloom, Aelith realized. He wants Theron to lose himself in the violence. She was 10 feet away when a massive hand closed around her throat. Hello, little ghost. Varric. He lifted her off the ground like she weighed nothing. His cruel face split in a grin. Did you really think you could escape me? You belong to Greymore. You belong to me. Aelith clawed at his hand, gasping for air. I'm going to enjoy breaking you again, Varric purred. After I wear your precious alpha's body, you'll watch him destroy everything he loves, and you'll know it's your fault for running. Black spots danced in her vision, her lungs screamed. Then Emmerich's blade erupted through Varric's shoulder. The alpha roared, dropping Aelith to spin toward his attacker. She hit the ground hard, sucking in desperate breaths. Run! Emmerich shouted, engaging Varric with a ferocity that belied his lean frame. Destroy the source. I'll hold him. Aelith ran. Corvin saw her coming. His hand shot out, dark magic crackling along his fingers. Foolish girl. Did you think I wouldn't prepare for you? The curse slammed into her, not around her, but into her. For the first time it found purchase, latching onto the pain she'd absorbed, the echoes of suffering she carried. Aelith screamed as fire raced through her veins. You've been drinking his poison for days, Corvin laughed. You're more cursed than woman now. But Corvin had miscalculated. Aelith had spent her entire life absorbing pain, learning its shape, its texture, its weaknesses. And curses, she realized with sudden clarity, were nothing more than pain given form, concentrated suffering wrapped in dark intention. And suffering was her domain. She stopped fighting. Instead, she opened herself completely, drawing the curse in rather than pushing it away. All of it, every dark thread, every poisoned whisper, including the seed. Corvin's eyes widened. What are you? She felt it now. The source. Not a spell, but a fragment of Corvin's own soul, broken off and planted in Theron. A piece of himself he could never recover. Aelith closed her fist around that fragment and burned it to ash. The scream that tore from Corvin was inhuman. He collapsed, clutching his chest, his face contorting as something vital was ripped away. The curse shattered, dissolving into mist, leaving Aelith hollow and trembling on her knees. Across the clearing, Theron staggered. She felt it through the bond, the moment the seed died. The moment his wolf became his own again. His eyes found hers through the chaos. Relief. Disbelief. Love. Then he turned and saw Emmerich, still fighting Varric, blood streaming from a dozen wounds. Theron moved. What happened next was so fast Aelith barely followed it. One moment Varric had Emmerich pinned, claws raised for the killing blow. The next, Theron was there, ripping the Alpha away, his own claws finding Varric's throat. You threatened my brother, Theron snarled. You threatened my mate, and you will never threaten anyone again. The execution was swift. Varric's body hit the ground, and the remaining Greymoor wolves scattered, their will to fight dying with their Alpha. In the sudden silence, Aelith tried to stand. Her legs wouldn't cooperate. Theron caught her before she fell, lifting her into his arms like she was something precious. You destroyed it, he breathed. I felt it die. Told you I'd be useful. He laughed, the sound wet with tears. You're impossible. You love it. I do. He pressed his forehead to hers. I really do. The journey back took 2 days. Aelith slept through most of the first one, her body demanding rest after the ordeal. She woke in a cart, wrapped in furs, Theron riding close enough to touch. Welcome back, he said softly. She sat up slowly, testing her limbs. Everything ached, but it was the normal ache of exhaustion, not the poisoned burn of the curse. Emmerich? Healing, complaining about being confined to bed. So essentially fine. She smiled despite herself. And Corvin? Dead. The soul fragment's destruction killed him. Theron's expression darkened. 20 years, Aelith. I trusted him for 20 years. Betrayal always comes from those we trust. That's what makes it betrayal. He was quiet for a moment. Then, it's been 7 nights. Aelith's breath caught. She had lost count in the chaos. But he was right. The deal was complete. The curse was destroyed. She was free. I suppose it has. Theron pulled his horse closer to the cart. I promised you sanctuary, full pack rights, protection. He reached into his saddlebag and withdrew a small pouch that clinked heavily. And gold. Enough to start over wherever you want. Aelith stared at the pouch. A week ago, it would have represented everything she'd ever wanted. Freedom, security, a life of her own choosing. Now it felt like a consolation prize. What if I don't want to start over somewhere else? Theron's breath caught. Then I would ask. He stopped, seemed to gather himself. Then I would ask you to stay. Not as an obligation, not as a debt, but as my partner, my equal, my mate. You said you'd ask after this was over. I'm asking now. He dismounted in one fluid motion, walking beside the cart so he could take her hands. Stay with me, Aelith. Not because you have nowhere else to go, but because this is where you belong. Because I belong with you. She looked at their intertwined fingers, scarred and soft, strong and gentle. I've never belonged anywhere, she said quietly. Never been wanted. Never been chosen. You're wanted now. You're chosen now. His grip tightened. Every day for the rest of our lives, if you'll have me. Aelith thought about the girl she'd been 7 days ago. Invisible. Forgotten. Certain that happiness was for other people. That girl wouldn't recognize her now. Yes, she said. Theron's face transformed. Yes? Yes. I'll stay. Yes, I'll be your mate. Yes to all of it. He pulled her from the cart and spun her around, laughing like a man released from chains. When he set her down, he kissed her deeply, thoroughly, not caring who watched. From somewhere behind them, Brennar's voice carried, "Finally." I was getting tired of the tension. They broke apart, laughing. And for the first time in her life, Aelith felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. 2 months later, Thornmere had transformed. The pack was healing. Corvin's allies had been rooted out, the corruption excised like infected tissue. Emmerich walked with a new confidence, his bravery in the battle having earned him respect he'd never had before. And Greymore, leaderless after Varick's death, had been absorbed peacefully, its wolves grateful for liberation from tyranny. But the biggest transformation was Aelith herself. She had gone from invisible to indispensable. Pack members sought her counsel. Warriors nodded to her with respect. Children followed her through the halls, fascinated by the quiet Omega who had saved their alpha. She was no longer a ghost. She was seen. That morning, she found Emmerich in the training yard watching the new recruits. You know, he said without looking at her, my brother hasn't stopped smiling in weeks. It's actually disturbing. Aelith laughed. You're complaining about happiness? I'm complaining about the face he makes when you enter a room, like he's been starving and you're a feast. Emmerich finally turned to her. It's disgusting. I love it. You're ridiculous. I'm honest. He studied her for a moment. He's planning something. You know that, right? He's been meeting with the elders, making arrangements. Whatever he's up to, it's big. Warmth bloomed in Aelith's chest. Do you know what it is? Emmerich's smile was knowing. I have suspicions, but I'm not ruining the surprise. That evening, Theron asked her to meet him on the western watchtower. Their spot now, where they'd spent countless nights talking, healing, and falling deeper into something neither could name. The sun was setting when she arrived, painting the mountains in shades of gold and crimson. Theron stood at the edge, backlit by dying light, looking every inch the alpha he was. But when he turned to her, his eyes were soft, vulnerable. I've been trying to find the right words, he said. I've started this speech a dozen times, thrown away drafts, driven Brennar insane with revisions. Aelith smiled. You don't need speeches. Just talk to me. He crossed to her, taking her hands. You saved my life. You saved my soul. You walked into darkness for me when you could have walked away, and every day since I've fallen more in love with you. Her throat tightened. Theron, I'm not finished. He dropped to one knee. Aelith's breath stopped. I don't have a ribbon or a family heirloom. What I have is a kingdom that's stronger because of you, a brother who's alive because of you, and a heart that beats only for you. He looked up at her, amber eyes bright with unshed tears. Aelith, will you bond with me? Not as a business arrangement, not as a political alliance, but as partners. Equals. Mates in every way that matters. She was crying. She hadn't realized it until now. Yes. The word came out broken and beautiful. Yes, of course, yes. Theron rose and kissed her, deep and desperate and full of promise. When they broke apart, both laughing through tears, a cheer rose from below. Half the pack had gathered in the courtyard, watching, waiting. Did everyone know about this except me? Aelith asked. Everyone. Theron grinned. They've been taking bets on when I'd finally ask. Who won? Emmerich, the smug bastard. From the crowd, Emmerich's voice carried up. You're welcome, sister. Aelith laughed, leaning into Theron's embrace. Sister, family, home. Words that finally meant something. The bonding ceremony was held under a harvest moon. Aelith wore deep green silk that made her pale skin glow, her hair woven with mountain flowers. Theron wore formal black, his family crest embroidered in silver thread, his eyes never leaving her face. The entire pack gathered in the great hall, witnesses to something rare, a true mate bond, freely chosen, sealed not by obligation but by love. The elder spoke ancient words about partnership and choice, about two souls becoming one flame, about the strength found in vulnerability and the power of being truly seen. When it came time for vows, Theron went first. I spent my life believing love was weakness, he said quietly, holding her hands, that letting someone close meant giving them the power to destroy you. You taught me that the opposite is true, that love is armor, that being known is the greatest strength there is. He raised her hand to his lips. I vow to see you, to choose you, to stand beside you in darkness and light, for all my days and beyond. Aelith's voice trembled but held. I spent my life being invisible, believing I was broken, that I didn't deserve to be wanted. You showed me I was wrong. You looked at me and saw something worth fighting for. She reached up to touch his face. I vow to stay, to trust, to let myself be loved as fiercely as I love you, for all my days and beyond. The elder smiled. Then by the old laws and the new I declare you bonded. Let no force in this world or the next tear asunder what has been joined tonight. They kissed, and the bond snapped fully into place. Not a chain, not a cage. A bridge between two souls, strong and unbreakable. The celebration lasted until dawn. There was music and dancing, food and wine, laughter that echoed through halls that had known too much grief. Emmerich made a toast so sincere it brought tears to Aelith's eyes. Brennar, stoic Brennar, actually smiled. Later, much later, they slipped away to their chambers, the rooms that were theirs now, together. Theron loved her slowly, reverently, like she was sacred ground. And she loved him back with everything she had, finally understanding what it meant to be whole. Afterward, tangled together in moonlight, he asked, Tell me something. Something I don't know. Aelith thought for a moment. That first night, when I walked into your sick room, I almost turned back. Almost convinced myself it wasn't my problem. What stopped you? You. She traced the scars on his chest, the map of his survival. Even dying, even cursed, you look like someone worth saving. Someone who mattered. I couldn't walk away from that. Theron pulled her closer. I'm glad you didn't. Me too. She lay her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat, steady and strong. No curse, no darkness, just him. No healer could calm the warrior alpha, but she had sat beside him all night. And in the end, that had been enough. Where are you listening from? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to hear more stories like this, please subscribe. It's free, and it helps more people find their way to these tales.